Chris, if you think it's the Chinese or what, man. Might be the Chinese, in my opinion. Shooting lasers with the drones. What's going on there?
I know you.
Viruses.
What I did. But, Doctor.
Tuesdays. You're watching Fox 35.
KION News Channel 46 now with breaking news.
Fuck is this shit, dude?
And it's great to be with you. We do start with breaking news. We have been following all night long. The fire at the Moss Lake power plant still burning strong at this 10 o'clock hour. Here is a live look right now of that fire putting up smoke into the air, Lisa, and maybe just a fewer flames than we saw a few hours ago, but still burning pretty hot.
Still a major fire, yes. So we do have those evacuation orders in place, and we did have an official talk earlier and talked about how 90% of those evacuation orders have been fulfilled. They're still helping people leave their homes, and of course that's in 7 zones around Moss Landing Power Plant, and this is all due to a fire at one of the buildings there where they store batteries, and the company is Vistra Energy. And they previously had a fire back in 2021 over batteries overheating. This, by far, is the largest fire that we have seen. Even officials saying that this is something that we'll have to really take into consideration. Questions for everybody involved.
Yeah, and we did have an update there about 15-20 minutes ago. If you were watching us on CBS, we had an update from Nick Schooley with the County of Monterey telling us that 90% of the evacuations have been complete. We know that close to 1,200 people have been evacuated out of their homes. There is a shelter that has been set up. They are seeing people heading to said shelter right now. But again, looking at that, you see the smoke going up into the air from that fire. That fire still burning hot at this 10 o'clock hour. And we do have several reporters up there, and we're working to get some more live shots for you coming in from that area. And we do have some at the evacuation area as well as the fire itself. But the road closures in that area are pretty intensive. We have
yes, Highway 1,
both directions shut down. As you take a live look there, you see the fire off in the distance. But let's go over the road closures.
Yeah, until further notice.
Is
now
this
we
located
do have
in
those evacuation orders. Those
Oregon,
are
or where it's located
from
at?
Moss Landing, south of the Elkhorn
Does anybody
Slough,
know?
north of Malera Road and Monterey Dunes Way,
that Oregon?
west of Castroville
I think it's
Boulevard,
Oregon.
and Elkhorn Road
My
to
friend
the
told me that's in
ocean. So this
Oregon.
does include
Is he right?
Highway 1, and folks are being
I don't remember what the hell this is.
rerouted, and it looks like this is going to be in place for quite some time. We're talking about possibly rerouting. Alternate route would be Highway 101 in certain areas around Moss Landing. Highway 1 is closed for now. We even have school closings to report about for tomorrow. This is all North Monterey County Unified School District schools. They will be closed Friday for tomorrow, and they are citing health and the safety of the students. That is their top priority. We also have Santa Cruz public health officials that are notifying residents and asking them to stay indoors, close your doors, and turn off all your AC systems, bring your pets inside. And we even have officials saying wear masks to from the toxic smoke that is being brought into the air from this fire.
Yeah, you're taking a lot from at that seeing the flame from that point right there. We were talking earlier with some of our reporters on the scene. They were telling us that they saw that green flames at times would be indicative of a battery burning. And we know that several batteries there at this plant now on fire as a result of this. So I don't know if we still have our Jeanette Bent out there. Jeanette, if you can hear me, now that we're in the 10 o'clock hour here, it's been a long evening, obviously, for the folks. What's the general census out there? What are folks telling you?
We did try to get them out of the headlights.
Cut your mic.
Yes, we're still out here. Scott, we
Cut
actually
your
found a
mics.
new location. It's a little closer, and as you see, the
fucking
smoke
lying.
is still billowing, it's still glowing, there's definitely still an active
Shit.
scene here. A few other reporters are out here. It's quite an ordeal.
And Jeanette, I know that where you're at, a lot of that area has been evacuated. But what can you tell us? You've been out there since the very get-go of this thing. What can you tell us as far as the size of this fire from when you first got out there and it really got going to now?
Well, it's definitely a lot. It's that's a lot. Was earlier. Flames earlier were just big, unpredictable. I mean, like I said, at one point they changed colors, and it sort of rolled through the building. So as you see, we're kind of at the front of the building now. I can try and zoom out a little bit to show you. We're more at the front of the building, whereas before we were at the back of the building, and that's where it started. So it's rolled through this area, and it's definitely still glowing. It does seem like it's actually kind of tainting a bit. I don't really know what's going on the other side of that wall, to be honest.
Yeah, it's
but
tough to see.
it's still happening. It's still there.
Do you, and I know that it may be kind of difficult for you to answer from where you're at, but does it appear that people who are asked to evacuate, does it appear that they are heeding those warnings right now, or those orders?
Yeah, I'm really not seeing anybody else out here. It's really of some reporters, like I said, a couple of the patrol vehicles, some sheriffs, a couple trucks with lights flashing, which I'm assuming this sort of a cleanup or maybe hazmat situation. Not a lot of people are out here at all. It's pretty barren.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Stay safe, and we'll keep checking with you. I believe we have somebody from the sheriff's office now on the phone. Annie Rose, if you can hear me, what's the very latest that you can tonight? Okay. Got him on the phone there. We'll try to get him back on the phone, though. Andy Rosas with the sheriff's office, just trying to give us an update. We did have him on the phone, but we'll try to get him back on the phone for you. As again, I've looked now those flames, and Lisa, I know that we have school closures to mention here. One of those.
Yes, we do have school closures, and the first one that came in was for Monterey County Unified School District. Those schools will be for tomorrow. That is Friday, and that is due to what Moss Landing and officials there citing the health and safety of the students. That comes first as a top priority. So those schools will be closed tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see what happens as the fire continues. We're still waiting to hear some on what we can expect over the next several days. But so far, we're still looking at those evacuation orders that remain in place, and also those road closures. Drones are being used currently right now to see what's happening over the. We even have Santa Cruz officials now commenting as well and recommending residents to stay indoors. The doors, you want to turn off your AC systems as well. Wear masks, bring the pets inside. So this is affecting a lot of people outside of those that have been affected by the evacuation orders, which is close to 2,000 people that are being asked to leave their homes tonight.
And we are working on trying to get anyone on the phone. So we have Andy. Can you hear me? Andy, thanks for taking the time. Andy Rose with the sheriff's office. What can you tell us? What's the latest out there right now?
So we can summarize some of what we're providing to the viewers tonight. About 5 o'clock this afternoon, the Monterey County Fire Protection District was sent out to a report of a fire at the Vistra plant. When they arrived, they did locate a building on fire that does contain batteries. Some of those batteries were also confirmed to be on fire. At that point, they started monitoring. This is a very sensitive type of fire because of the batteries inside those buildings, and they started monitoring the fire, working closely with personnel from Vistra to just make sure that everyone in the immediate area was safe. As the afternoon progressed, we know that the fire has grown. It has not extinguished. And out of an abundance of precaution, evacuation orders have been issued by the Monterey County Sheriff's Office. What I can tell you at this point is the area of evacuation is about 7,676 acres. There are 1,240 people that are affected by the evacuation zones. These are people that live within the evacuation zones. Those evacuation zones can actually be found on the County of Monterey webpage, as well as the Monterey County Sheriff's webpage. Other sources that are out there, they have the various zones of people that are impacted by these evacuations. There's also a temporary evacuation point that's been set up at the Castroville Recreation Center that transition to an overnight by the American Red Cross that's within these evacuation zones that needs a place to stay tonight. The American Red Cross is helping us with that. I can tell you that these evacuations started, the Monterey County Sheriff's Office took immediate action. We requested not only all of our available deputies to respond to the area, requested assistance from Monterey County, and we did receive a tremendous amount of support. Over 25 that have been door to door within the evacuation areas to evacuate people from these areas. So we're very thankful, very grateful for their assistance in helping us to evacuate residents from these areas. And as of 90% complete with evacuations in those areas.
Is there any indication, have you been getting any intel onto how long this fire could burn for and how long these orders could be placed for?
So we don't. Anything related to fire, our fire personnel on scene are working closely with Vistra to try to determine how long this may take and what potential hazards are out there. As of right now, we're not taking any chances on this. So these evacuations have been evacuation orders have been issued in the best interest of the public that are in those zones. We are continuing to work with Vistra, with the fire personnel, and if any changes, if any dangers that require us to issue additional evacuations or more serious evacuations, we will take those actions immediately. I know that one of the other things that's coming up right now is people are concerned about schools in the area. We are currently, we know that there are meetings going on with school district personnel in those areas, try to make determinations on what they're going to do with school for tomorrow and beyond that, if it does in fact persist beyond the weekend that's coming up. And one of the things that's helping is, of course, this is a holiday weekend, so students will not be returning to classes until Tuesday of next week. But there is a possibility that the school may put out information on what is provided to them. It would be the school district's individual decision to whether or not they're going to cancel classes tomorrow.
Is there any concern right now that there could be explosions in the area? You're dealing with batteries, obviously, here. Have you been given any updates that there could be any explosions in the area? That should people be concerned about that?
No, we have not been given anything, any information that talks about explosions, but we do know that the immediate area of fire is completely evacuated. Nobody should be in that. As you know already, our original command post was much closer to the location of the Vistra plant than it currently is now. It was moved from the whole enchilada location in Moss Landing all the way back into the city of Castroville, the town of Castroville. So, should not be in that area. The people that are still in areas that have not been evacuated at this point, we would encourage you to close your windows, turn off any air circulation systems that pull in outside air as an abundance precaution to make sure that you're safe in case something were to develop overnight. But for the people that are immediately impacted, those are the people in the evacuation zones, and we're working hard to get all of those people out of the areas.
And can you elaborate on that? What is the health risk? What can you tell the residents with the evacuations, with the schools being closed? What are we talking about regarding a health risk?
Well, we don't have anything, if we're talking about dangerous, hazardous chemicals, we don't have any information this time with any, as it relates to any types of those threats. We're working closely with, and fire is working closely with Vistra. If there are any serious issues regarding quality, working together to try to determine what those issues are and issue warnings based on that information. What we can tell you is we know that there are people that are vulnerable, are elderly, people with breathing difficulties, breathing diseases that are affected easily by smoke. And because of that, we would encourage these individuals, if they're not in evacuation zones, if they do have a way to get that immediate area, make those arrangements. If you have family that's in that area, even if they're not in an evacuation zone, take care of your loved ones, get them out of the area, get them to a safer place, just as a precaution in case something further were to develop.
And, I'm sorry, one of our viewers had a question, Andy, about the evacuated area and looting concerns. Talk about what your deputies are doing out there to protect homes that are evacuated.
So again, we have requested assistance from other agencies, but we have also deployed all of our available deputies to the area, and we are on patrol in those areas. Additionally, we know that the Highway Patrol is out there. We have additional agencies that have come out to assist us, and the warning is clear. We heard about this happening in the Los Angeles area with the fires, and we are aware that could potentially happen here. We are on high alert for that as well. So anybody has that thought crossing their mind, be aware that we're out there. We have air support as well. drones that are flying in the area, and we are heavily monitoring that area.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Be safe out there. We appreciate it. And we'll continue to update as the night goes on. Thank you, Andy Ross. Be safe, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. And again, you're looking live as the flames continue to shoot out of the structure here, out of the Moss Landing power plant. We've been seeing it for a while now. I want to check in with Chief Meteorologist Dan to talk about weather conditions around this fire right now. Dan, you've been monitoring it all evening long. What's going on?
Yeah, tonight we continue to see that plume. If we can head back to Mount Toro camera, the plume of smoke to the east from this particular fire, which would take it over areas of Prudendale, eventually Royal Oaks, maybe Aromas, and potentially as far as San Juan Bautista. So maybe a little more east-northeast. The actual flow at the surface, by the way, is from the east to the west. But most of this smoke is actually going to the east because it's being pushed upward due to the heat of the fire. Now, I will say, just the personal observation over the last couple of hours, the amount of smoke from this fire seems to be reducing to some extent.
It does.
Maybe some good news for folks out there. But, one thing to keep in mind also is that we don't have a lot of wind. So have some wind to work with. That can take the smoke and move it away and disperse it. When there's not a lot of wind, it can get concentrated to some extent. So at nighttime, we typically see our inversions develop, and an inversion means that the air is really prevented from mixing with air above it just due to the temperature contrast. So, I mean, on your screen, you can see that the air, the smoke gets to a certain level and flattens out. So that means it's reaching the inversion, and it's not going any higher than that, meaning that everything that's coming out of that fire is stuck in the lower levels, which, by the way, if you think about the Monterey Bay, is kind of surrounded by mountains. So right now, a lot of that smoke is probably trapped in the low levels around the Monterey Bay area tonight. It's dispersing to some extent, if you are very sensitive, and this includes places like Salinas and Watson, even if we're not directly under that plume of smoke, maybe close enough to it that some of that smoke may be mixing into the air here locally. So we don't know the toxicity of this smoke. We've been asking officials as much as we can. They haven't an answer for us on that. Just maybe they don't know or don't have equipment to test it. And based on our availability of air quality in that area, haven't really seen anything that indicates that anything is really bad in that area. But with that said, some of those sensors may not be able to detect the specific types of smoke that come from a battery fire. Most air quality sensors are going to find wildfire smoke. They're tuned for ozone, pollution like car exhaust, and particulate matter. So some of them may not be showing up. But I mean, with their smoke, obviously there's some particulate as well. You would assume that if there was a lot concentrated in the low levels near some of these monitoring sites, we would see some indication of that. And there has been some of the weather or the air quality observation sites have gone from good to moderate in near this area. So there is some potential, obviously, if you do have those sensitive lungs or breathing airways, you want to stay inside, close your windows and doors tonight. Don't go out for your late night run or whatever you want to do. Just I would say anywhere between Watsonville, Salinas, and then maybe even as far east as Hollister, these areas may want to just kind of shut in for the night, and we'll see what the morning brings. Turn off any sort of external fan that would bring in air from outside. If we go back to weather graphics here too, you can see kind of the smoke plume here. That it's kind of directed to the east. My best approximation of where that smoke is going, and beyond that, it probably dissipates to some extent, but that's what we're looking at. I want to say a couple other things too, just from what I'm monitoring in the Weather Center. Here's a different visualization of the evacuation orders, so we can kind of zoom in. I'm telling you on screen and showing you lists, but this is the general area of the evacuation order, and it includes the entire Moss Landing, including the harbor, right? So all of these areas under the evacuation order, and that goes down as far south as Malera Road and Dunes Way, which is kind of that first little road that comes off Malera Road. Then the evacuation warning is this white line that I've drawn in here very, very scientifically, obviously, but it does not include Castroville, but it gets to Castroville Boulevard and goes back up toward the Elkhorn Slough. But it does include neighborhoods along Dolan Road, including Trail Drive, Dolan Place, Avila Road, down south Chaffee Lane, down to the north Carner Road, Parsons Road, places like this, along Dolan Road. All these areas over to the Pick and Pull are under that evacuation order. Now, I also wanted to mention, we mentioned North Monterey County School District had canceled school for tomorrow. Here are some of those individual schools within that district. There's Castroville Elementary, Echo Valley Elementary, Elkhorn Elementary, Prunedale Elementary, North Monterey County Middle School, North County High School, Central Bay High School, and then there are alternative education, which is part of the district, including North Monterey County Center for Independent Study and North Monterey County Adult Education. So those are all, they said the entire school district is out tomorrow, and those are all of these schools listed under that school district. I just wanted to make sure those names were out there for you tonight.
Okay, good information, Dan, and we keep an eye on this. So you know, we go back to that wide shot, the live shot from our Toro camera there. Definitely does look like to me that some of that smoke is calming down just a little bit, and that could be some good news as you take. Yeah, that definitely doesn't look like it did a few hours ago, Lisa.
Those flames are still pretty high though, and this started at 5. We were live on the air at 5:30. We were there live at 5, and we still had clear blue skies, a little bit of smoke, and not even black yet. And then all of a sudden, over the next half hour, we really saw this. It was quick, the way it really blew up. We've been on the air ever since, basically showing you these tall flames and all the smoke that's billowing up into the air.
There you can see one of the drones right there on the top of your screen that the county was talking about with the flashing lights.
And this is supposed to help figure out what's going on.
I map it just a little bit there, but yeah, you can still see that glow in the flames there. Yeah, to your point. And you know, we're going on how many hours now? Because it started. The initial call went out around 3:30. And here we are almost 10:30 now, and it's still cooking, and we still got those evacuation orders in place. So very concerning situation for the folks who live in that area, the businesses in that area, and really anyone that could be impacted by the smoke that's going up into the air, that toxic smoke that's going up to the air.
You really think the smoke is that toxic?
And it's still a question as far as, you know, what that is and what we're dealing with. A lot of officials couldn't really respond to that yet. So still a lot to be known about this, a lot of questions out there. At least we did get some officials to speak tonight. So luckily we did get that.
We did, and the county giving us the information they could, the sheriff's office giving us the information they could. We do know that, again, 90% of the evacuations, at least now 90% of the evacuations have been conducted and are complete. Close to 1,200 people are under that evacuation order right now. We've been updating you on that. If you are in one of those areas, you know, you really need to take this seriously. And give we'll go to the timeline again, because I think, you know, when we were up here at 5:30 is when it really started going, Lisa. You know, at the top of 5 o'clock we saw a little bit of smoke. 5:30 we really started to see the flames shooting out, and that's when we started understanding the gravity of the situation here, the totality of what we were dealing with, and we stuck with it. Yeah, we saw that black smoke, right, and then it really erupted after that and didn't stop.
And that's when we had Supervisor Glenn Church come on, and he spoke about this as didn't anticipate this. It is a big fire. It's out of control, and we definitely are concerned and have questions. And you could tell he was visibly upset. And he said on air, you know, this is something that we're really going to have to look at as far as the company and what's happening at this storage place.
And then Nick Pasculi with the county too, telling us that obviously right now their priority is life, human life, and protecting human life, and the top priority right now from the county and the sheriff's office, and the message out there, and then and making sure that the homes that are evacuated are protected. Deputies out there going to be cruising all night long. We heard the sheriff's office just a little while ago talking about that as well. You know, I do think it's to talk about this, and we were talking about it in our last half hour when we were on CBS, but talking about it back in September 2023 when Glenn Church held town hall in Castroville for the people of the community who had concerns after the fire back in 2021 at the facility, and they were addressing things and trying to figure out if this did happen, if something like this did happen, what to do.
What's environmental impact?
What's the impact on human life and the people who have to breathe this stuff in? And then what do you do too? What's the protocol for firefighters? Again,
and we have to mention it took 2 hours before hazmat showed up. I mean, we were concerned.
And there's probably not much they can do right now, because again, it's burning hot. You can't go in there and put water on it. That could make it worse, because this isn't a forest fire. This is a chemical fire, right? right? So they really have to just monitor this and let it kind of burn itself out. That could take a long time.
And luckily, the weather is cooperating. Dan has talked about tonight, the winds are on the lighter side. The officials kind of mentioned that too. It could have been worse with if we did have any strong.
Yeah, it's true. We could see the potential for, I mean, if we had a lot of wind today, obviously that can disperse smoke, but also can spread fire. And since we didn't really have that issue, but that is some good news. A viewer did ask about power outages too, and I just want to hit on that really quickly here. I have been monitoring, since this is a storage facility and not a generation facility, there have not been any associated power outages as far as we know, not local across the state. So, I mean, it could handle capacity in the future, but at the moment, no power outages to report.
To recap here, as we wind down this half hour of news, fire at the Moss Landing plant, the Vistra Energy plant, Vistra Energy there, PG&E there, also Tesla batteries. This fire has been burning since the afternoon, just after 3 o'clock, and got going around 5:30. I do want to say, yes, we have the evacuators in place. We've been telling you that. Schools are closed tomorrow in North Monterey County, and take the evacuation center. Have that live look actually right. Let's listen on this, and we'll
to
stay
support
with
this incident. And so it's a very complicated fire to fight, and it takes a lot of tactical effort in order to do it in a safe manner. And so I can't speak specifically on how they're fighting the fire itself, but I can assure you that there's a tremendous amount of resources here in order to do what they can to suppress this fire and to get people back to their home as quickly as possible.
That's something a lot of the people here that are evacuating have been talking about, how long they have to be evacuated. Is the center going to be open?
Sure. We'll provide the resources as long as we have to. One of the most things I can tell you is that we take evacuation orders very seriously here at the County of Monterey. We would not issue them if we weren't concerned about the safety of people in an area. And so I can tell you this, that we will leave the evacuation place until we are certain that it's safe for people to go home. We are not going to mess around with people's safety and their lives whatsoever.
For here that are looking to evacuate, what resources can they get?
So, great things about having an evacuation point is that it's a great place to just number one and share, some also going through the same places. Also information. As we get information, we try to get it over to temporary evacuation points as quickly as possible. And of course, if necessary, at some point we'll provide other refreshments, things like that for people.
Is there any resources you guys need, donations?
At this point, I don't know that we would need donations at this point in time. However, Red Cross here as well, and they are providing volunteer services as well as supporting the workers out in the field. Donation to the Red Cross, and we would appreciate supporting them as well.
Thank you. Is there anything you wanted to touch on?
Yeah. One of the things that we're emphasizing very much here in the County of Monterey is preparation. Picturesque, but you never be an incident. Or we really want to encourage people to sign up for Monterey County, and they can do that so easily. Alertmonterey.org. They can get notifications right on, and also email. That way, the most accurate time, transparent information available when an incident arrives.
Question two: any fire while part of the kind of conflicting reports?
So it's a battery storage facility, and so while I can't tell you exactly what building is happening at, I can tell you it's in a battery storage. And Vistra is on site as well, because it's their facility, and they are also getting intelligence information for our first responders to make the right decision to dealing with this fire. Thank you.
you did it. Say and spell your first and last name.
So it's Nick Pasculi, P-S-C-U-L-I.
All right, so you just heard there from Julie with the County of Monterey, bringing an update to reports out there on the situation. They're still burning at this hour. Situations in place.
And we knew battery storage facility and owned by what he confirmed tonight for us. And we are still dealing with the fire, figuring out when these evacuation orders are going to be over. As he said, there's just no time at this point. It's going to be open overnight. It sounds like it's going to be a while.
It is, and it's going to be a long night, folks. And my people who are evacuated there, the nearly 1,200 people evacuated. We're up our coverage here on Fox 5. We'll be back on CKION with the on